Good evening, darts fans, and welcome to some Group B action here at the Online Darts Live League. Coming to you live on Sporty Stuff TV, and I hope you enjoy every game that we have for your entertainment this evening, going into the early hours of Friday. We have had a great week so far. I'm Paul the Asset Nicholson. I'll be calling all of the action in for you tonight. Owen Binks will be your referee, and we will have a great time watching the 5 players on offer. We'll get to that in a second, but first we need to touch on what's happened on Tuesday and Wednesday in Group A. So let's have a look and see what happened there. As Matt Dennant won that group by one of the smallest margins that you can have, indeed the smallest you can get on points. He won by 1 solitary win. As you can see, he got 1 more win than Scott Marsh. So as a result of that, Marsh has been promoted to Group B alongside Ciaran Teehan, who managed to win his last game of his campaign on Wednesday to make sure he was here instead of playing in Group C. But you saw the bottom 3 from that group in Group A who played in Group C a little bit earlier on today. Let's have a look and see how they got on earlier on Thursday before they come back tomorrow for more action. Simon Stevenson, who didn't get a win on Tuesday in Group A, did have a much better time of it come Wednesday in that group, being the best player of the day. And he was also the best player of today in Group C. So, Josh Richardson, one of the junior Richardsons, has done better than his father on that day. And Ryan Finesse is in position to strike on 6 points as well. Ryan Murray and Sam Kankett looking like they're going to be falling by the wayside unless they have a very good Friday morning. So we'll concentrate on that a little bit more when it comes around tomorrow from 9:30 a.m. But for tonight, we're focusing on the likes of Scott Marsh, Teehan, and 3 new players. So let's have a look at the fixtures that are coming up. Scott Marsh will get us started against Darryl Pilgrim. Then we will get our first look of the week at Paul Hogan. Ciaran Teehan will get his Group B campaign away with the game against Paul Hogan. And then Andy Hamilton will be our last player of the night as he starts at around about 11:15 local time. There will be a few matches per player tonight because there are 5 players in the group. They will have 4 matches each, and then they will have 4 matches tomorrow. And the top 3 people from this group will go through to Saturday's finals. That's where Matthew Dennant is already waiting for them. There will be 2 players from Group C as well. So without further ado, let's have a little look at Darryl Pilgrim up against Scott Marsh in match 1. So let's go down to the board. There is Darryl Pilgrim back for another effort here at the Online Darts Live League.
6 more each.
And Marsh, who had a very close call in trying to get through Group A, just fell at the wrong hurdle towards the end. Matthew Dennant lost 2 games in a row and was on 14 points at the same time as Marsh at the end of that group. But unfortunately, Simon Stevenson beat both Marsh and he beat Matthew Dennant and made it very exciting, but it was Dennant who managed to get through. Now Marsh has a job on his hands to make it through to the Saturday finals.
Okay, first leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
So let's have a little look at the stats for Scott Marsh this week. They make for pretty decent reading. He started really well in his first game,
97.
banking the biggest finish of the week, which will remain so, of course, because it was the biggest finish you can get, at 170. He's had 3 12 darters this week.
60.
He'll be hoping to add to that. 14 maximums. His checkered percentage is really good at 39.53%. That was the best of anybody in Group A.
125.
He managed to bag 7 wins, and there were 3 losses in that Group A campaign. And overall, with an 86 average, it was very admirable what he did. He just fell a little short of the scholar Matt Dennant. He will be hoping to catch Darryl Pilgrim just a little cold in this first game,
59.
as he's been playing the last couple of days. And Darryl comes in here having not played the same sort of level, the same sort of intensity has Scott this week.
140.
But Pilgrim leaves that big finish in leg 1.
100.
Marsh leaves something
That we require
slightly easier.
170.
It's on. It still is on.
145.
It was almost taken.
Scott, you require 120.
This would be a nice steal and a great hold of throw. Ooh, 3 bits of red. Oh, and he gets the wrong colour.
112. That we require 25.
Close call on the 170. Can he polish off the rest?
Game shot on the
There's your
first
answer.
leg.
The Crystal
Darryl
Palace
Pilgrim.
fan is looking to do something very handy with those Crystal Palace coloured flights and stems. And so far, so good with a break of throw.
Second leg, it's Darryl to throw first. Game on.
So let's have a little look at Darryl Pilgrim's live league career to date. As he looks to bank his first max.
140.
Just falls up a little short there. 46 games he's played here at the live league. 27 wins for a very
97.
decent win percentage of 58.7. And of every player in this group tonight, he has the best live league career win percentage.
100.
His next best challenger in that statistic is his opponent here. So this could well be the best fixture of the night. They both have very similar
60.
personal best performances in an individual game. 107.25 for Pilgrim, 107.36 for Marsh. The doubles percentages are really close as well. Only 0.08 of a percentage point separate them in their live league careers. But the running average for Pilgrim is about
40.
2.5 points better,
130.
even though he's played 94 less games. Said that Marsh
98.
might catch Pilgrim cold. I don't think that's going to be the case. This is a pretty hot performance so far.
45. That we
Double
require
16 for a
32.
13 darter.
$16.
Doesn't find the target, but Scott Marsh can do nothing about it from his position.
$59.
2
That
eights
requires
to
16.
consolidate that first leg break of throw.
Game shot on the
Very
second
tidy
leg.
indeed.
Darryl
Averages
Pilgrim.
around 100 for those first couple of legs. So 30 darts delivered. And he will think that if he keeps that up, he's got every chance of winning this one by a big
So
margin.
look at Scott to throw first. Game on.
This is better from Scott.
121.
There's 20 points between them in the averages. I don't usually buy into a lot of statistics until they're deep into
42.
a game, but when someone's averaging 83 and the other is close to 100, it can't be ignored. Pilgrim's 2022, where he's played most of his live league
85.
stuff, has been very good indeed. He's actually got a running average this year of over 90.
99.
With Marsh, you always get something around 87 as a guiding line for where he's playing. Every now and again, he'll put in something big.
140.
But he does have the likelihood sometimes of putting in a low 80s average, which will even things out. But I think it's noticeable that this year, Darryl Pilgrim is playing better than 2021.
140. Scott, you require 155.
This time it's Pilgrim who's not on the finish, with Marsh thinking his number's over.
116. 96.
It's worked out pretty well. He's thinking max to leave tops.
140.
Very good try.
You reckon with 59.
For the man from Croydon. Double top.
Game show on the
And
third
that's more
leg.
like it from Marsh.
Scott
Who's going to have to go some from here in this best of 7 leg match to try and usurp the man in Crystal Palace colours.
Fourth leg, it's Darryl to throw first. Game on.
There is that maximum, the first one of the
180.
match. It was always coming. I was talking on Sporty Stuff TV maybe an hour and a half ago about the
45.
possibility of Marsh having a good start here. If he is to be king of the hockey, for instance, in this one, he's going to have to find something rather special from here.
140.
King of the hockey being most 180s, getting the win and having the highest finish. So far, the only thing Scott Marsh is winning is highest finish with that 59.
100.
Please remember that if you are having a flutter on any of the games tonight or any of the outcomes, please gamble responsibly and remember it's for 18s
149.
and BigGambleAware.org for more information as Pilgrim sets up a possible 10 darter. We've only had one of them this week, and that came from Ryan Murray on Wednesday.
180. Darryl reckon with 32.
That maximum doesn't even get Scott Marsh to a finish.
$16.
And Pilgrim is very grateful that he's not on a finish. Bit of a smile on his face right now.
60.
He'll be hoping that he's smiling
Darryl
more
requires 16.
with a 13 to 15 darter here.
Game show on the
very
fourth
good indeed.
leg. Darryl
And
Pilgrim.
it's crazy to think he's playing really well in this game, but his average could be so much higher if his doubles were better.
Fifth leg, it's
He's hit
Scott to
3
throw first.
doubles
Game
from
on.
11 attempts, and he's still averaging 103. The biggest average of the week is 103.33 by James Richardson earlier today, but that was a losing average against his son. The biggest winning average
59.
belongs to Scott Marsh, funnily enough. And that came in Game 2 on Tuesday, where we got that 170 finish, and consequently 100% on doubles as well. It was
140.
101.83. But his proximity to that 60 in this match has been so good.
140.
I work with a few people on the PDC tour, and we look at the statistics a lot. And there's been a lot made of the
97.
fact that Darryl Pilgrim has played one match on the professional tour this year. He averaged over 99 in that game and lost it. But in the averages list, he
56.
stands at number 1. What was really funny is that he went to a WDF event recently, and some friends got him a mug with a screen print of the Dart Connect system, which has his name at the top of the averages, and he thought it was hilarious.
79.
What I say, Darryl, is milk it. Milk it while you can. Use it as a confidence booster.
95. Scott, you require 128.
Keep the match alive. In every likelihood, he's got 2 visits here, but you just don't know. Pilgrim's already missed a 170 on the bull.
88. Darryl require 151.
He's not going to win it with a biggie, but he's going to pressurise in a big way.
119. Scott, you require 40.
You don't expect Marsh to miss this when he's sharp. Double 5. And that could be
35.
costly.
Darryl require 32.
It's been 3 double 8s to this point in this match.
Game
And 1
shot
double
and the
16
match.
to add to that.
Darryl
With that
Pilgrim.
16 darter, it's a beautiful performance from Darryl Pilgrim of Croydon. Nothing much went wrong. There was a lot to admire in that. 101.04 as an average. He has pretty much destroyed the favourite for this group. So maybe Pilgrim should be considered a favourite for top in this group. There will be 3 people who can go through it. And Pilgrim has got himself 2 points to start his campaign off. What we're going to see next is Paul Hogan starting his campaign up against Ciaran Teehan, who also came through Group A over the last couple of days. We'll be right back with that one. Welcome back to the Online Darts Live League for Thursday evening, and Group B
6
action
points.
here continues with Crocodile Dundee up against Ciaran Teehan of Ireland. First 2 points on offer in the group for these guys. Let's see what they can do. Seen a lot of Kieran over the last couple of days, and he showed some pretty useful stuff. And he did well in the end to win one of his last matches in that group to get himself into this 5-player group, as opposed to playing a little bit earlier on in a 6-person group. But the lad from Cork, 22-year-old, plenty of stuff ahead of him. A challenge to a winner, as you can see.
Okay, first
will
leg
now
it's Paul
go
to
up
throw
against
first.
the legendary Paul Hogan.
Game on.
Not wearing his West Brom colours tonight, but is playing some decent darts of late
100.
in the Live League. And I've been doing some digging. Looking at how he played in 2021 here, compared to 2022, he's putting in some better statistics this year than last year. And more specifically, his win percentage this year of 34 games that he's played is just a shade under 59%. Overall, with every game he's ever played,
140.
it's under 48%. That tells me that this year he's definitely more comfortable playing here than he was, say, 12 months ago.
60.
He has set a new personal best in this room as well of 105.00. And his doubles are better as well.
140.
Just a shade under 40% after 34 matches. Whereas overall, it was about 2% less. So everything is looking up for Paul Hogan.
140.
And I think he's one of the people to beat in this group.
Kieran, you reckon 140.
But don't underestimate this 22-year-old. He's gained a lot of experience
60.
over the last 3
We
years.
require 64.
Double 8.
Game
And
shown
Hogan
the
starts
first leg.
really good.
Paul Hogan.
Oh, 14 darts to start things off. And he sends a message not just to Teehan, but to everybody else.
Second leg is Kieran to throw first. Game on.
As for Kieran, 10 matches played in Group A this week. Had a 50% winning ratio.
93.
86.18 for the week. 10 maximums, which isn't too bad. But he did have the most ton plus checkouts of any person in that group.
60.
His highest, 160. He also had a 148 in there.
58.
When you look at the performance levels of everybody in Group A, he was very much up there. But he did win some vital
60.
battles in games to get enough points to progress to Group B. This is going to be a very tough group for him to get through, though. Pilgrim looks good. Already, Hogan looks pretty decent.
140.
And I just think that the 22-year-old from Cork is going to need an extra level over the next couple of nights.
100.
He has made it to Saturday finals before. That was back in Phase 2 in Week 4, which wasn't too long ago, actually. But when he made it to Saturday night, he couldn't get to Champions Week. He ended up finishing 4th. And that's the name of the game this week.
100.
Got to be in the top 3 on Saturday night
150.
to make sure you're here for Champions Week in around 12 days' time.
90.
Nothing Hogan can do about Teehan's position. But he's looking maybe for the 145.
145.
And look what he gets.
Kieran, you reckon 60.
Edgy. But can he find tops?
40. Well, you
Just about to say full credit
36.
to him for fixing that situation, but he couldn't.
Game shot on the second leg.
And Paul Hogan does
Paul
break
Hogan.
in 16 darts. It's a very similar performance to what we saw from Darryl Pilgrim in the first game. He's looking pretty sharp, and Hogan loves double 18.
So look, it's Paul to throw first.
You
Game
know
on.
you're having a good night already when you throw a bad dart at a double and it still goes in.
123.
And what I mean by that is he was going for the middle of that double 18 bed and it hit the top corner. Got to say, though, there was a chance there for Ciaran Teehan.
180.
He gets the first maximum of this match. And not taking chances like that against Paul Hogan
140.
is an error. He's become a bit of a Thursday and Friday night regular in the live league over the last year and a bit like Chaz Barstow.
140. 100.
And he's first to a finish once again after 9. This is turning into a very high level of performance from Hogan.
145.
But it's time for the 145 from Teehan, who leaves 36 after 9. It would have been somewhat cruel of Hogan to take that 138.
98.
It would have been brilliant, don't get me wrong.
36.
But you leave a double after 9, you expect a shot.
Game
A
shot on the
lovely
third
11
leg.
darter from Teehan.
Kieran Teehan.
That's the best leg he has delivered all week long. And it's the first leg he's won tonight. So over to you, Kieran. More of that, please.
Fourth leg, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
Maybe Kieran can get a little bit of inspiration from his friend John O'Shea. As we see the averages in this game, they're both very good. John O'Shea made a Pro Tour
60.
final on Tuesday. A very, very good achievement. Been such a busy week in the game of darts.
60.
Everybody jetting back from Germany on Monday, going to qualifiers for European Tour events. People coming here from WDF events.
131.
Premier League finishing up in the last half an hour, where Gedwin Price has won in Sheffield against Michael van Gerwen, who won on the European Tour on Sunday.
55.
I've never known a period with so much in the way of darts. And there's plenty more to come before the end of the week. Check Darts Open starts tomorrow.
85.
More live league from 9:30 AM tomorrow as well, where we will conclude Group C, and then we will return tomorrow night at this time slot,
38.
and we will conclude Group B to see who will be in our finals on Saturday night.
'89.
Boy, that was a beautiful bullseye. Looks like he's getting back in this match, because we know that Hogan can't leave a finish.
140. Kieran, you reckon 136.
All of a sudden, this lad is playing spectacular darts.
78. 40.
Oh, Paul, don't be leaving bogey
Kieran, you
numbers.
require 58.
That was a big error. I think he's just figured it out. Shouldn't matter.
18.
But it did in the end. This way he gets no option but to just set it up. Instead of having that small opportunity of nicking the leg away.
94. Kieran, you require 40.
This is the worst leg of the match.
Game shot on the fourth
But
leg.
Teehan doesn't care.
Kieran
19
Teehan.
darts is still half decent, if you ask me, especially when you're drawing level at 2 legs all.
Fifth leg is Paul to throw first. Game on.
After that explosive start, where Hogan Did everything right in the scoring.
97.
And didn't put a foot wrong in the finishing. Teehan has clawed his way back into this one with a mid-90s average. I still find Ciaran Teehan a little bit unpredictable. You're not really sure what you're going to get from him. Maybe at his young age he's still looking for some sort of consistency.
100.
But when you're talking about consistency, how about being at a world-class level for 27 years? That's exactly what you've got with Hogan, who made his World Championship debut back in 1995. I know plenty of people who weren't even born then, including his opponent.
60.
I assure you that was for the 18s.
124.
I bet he was wishing that he'd hit that 18 now. It would have left him on a 170 attempt.
40.
And this game is starting to change. All of a sudden, Teehan seems to be in control. And the man who wears his feelings on his face, Paul Hogan, is telling us that he's not happy with how things have transpired the last 10 minutes.
58.
So Teehan can hit the front
50.
with a break of throw. Double 16.
Game show on the fifth
That's
leg.
as clean as a whistle.
Kieran Teehan.
So 14 darts to do that one, and that elevates his average even more now towards 97.5. This is as good as we've seen from Teehan
Kieran
all
to
week.
throw first. Game on.
In fact, his best average of the week so far, 95.68. So he's beating that currently.
95.
The only thing he's not beating Hogan at is highest finish. That 50 checkout was Kieran's biggest.
80.
I'll call him Kieran, but technically it's Ciaran. I was told that at the 2019 World Masters where he made his debut there. He was only a whippersnapper back then.
96.
Playing alongside the likes of Keen Barry, Katie Sheldon, John O'Shea, Keith Geraghty.
60.
This game could be over in 9 darts.
140.
By 9 darts, I mean 3 for Teehan, 3 for Hogan, and another for Teehan.
$45.
If he finishes this off now,
Kieran,
he's going to feel so good about his chances. A great start to the group is very imminent. Maybe it was a blessing that he didn't get that 60. Now he knows exactly what he has to do when he comes back.
140.
Hogan will be thinking to himself, where have you been? Where have those 140s been the last couple of legs? Double 16 for the win.
49.
Hogan's still in it, but only just.
$85.
You'll have to think
Kieran requires 60.
about what's gone wrong. He's got a game with Darryl Pilgrim next to Hogan.
Game shot on the match.
To a
Ciaran
very
Teehan.
good performance, it has to be said. Mid-90s average, but 96.87 does beat his best of the week. So we have to congratulate Teehan on doing very well at not allowing Paul Hogan another shot at a double after being 2-0 up. So that's what you see, 100% checkout there for Paul Hogan, but he only got 2 shots in the first 2 legs. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll have our first look in Group B at Andy the Hammer Hamilton. What's not to like when the hammer's on the oche? He's coming right up. Hello and welcome back
6
to
more.
our coverage of Group B here at the Online Darts Live League for Week 3 of Phase 3. Our first look at Andy Hamilton will take place now, and he's up against Scott Marsh, who lost his first game of the night. So let's see what he can do in his second match up against the Hammer. Bit of a shock to the system for Scott Marsh, losing 4-1 to Darryl Pilgrim, but welcome back to the 55-year-old from Stoke-on-Trent, former runner-up in the World Championship 10 years ago, back in 2012 when he lost to Adrian Lewis. But Marshy, who was fancied to come through this group, has not got off to the ideal
First,
start.
it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
Nothing like putting that right immediately. But as far as Andy's Live League career is concerned, because he's been there and done that everywhere else, he joined
97.
the Live League a little bit earlier this year for the first time, and it was great to have him. He's played 22 matches, won 9 of them for a win percentage of just over 40%.
125.
And knowing Andy as I do, he won't be happy with that. He'll want to get a little bit more for himself. A personal best average of 97.79, and we all know he can
67.
play better than that. But his doubles are good. Of every player in tonight's group, he's got the best running doubles percentage. 38.96%. That's really decent. His running average of 86.96 this year is very competitive. He has been losing close matches. We'll just have to watch out if this one goes close and his future matches go close, just how he gets on.
$96.
I just wonder what Andy's ambitions are for maybe the next 2 or 3 years. He's over the age of 50 now, which I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying.
100.
He could be one of those really good candidates for winning major honours in the World Seniors. There are a couple of their big tournaments starting over the summer. In a couple of weeks' time, it is the World Senior Masters at Lakeside. And the World Senior Match Play in Hull in early July as well. That's the perfect first start there for the Hammer.
99.
Steady stuff.
It's got your record
But
66.
he could lose his throw in leg 1. Ah, the hurdle. 14-12 for tops.
Aim shot on the first leg.
And like Colin
Scott
Jackson,
Marsh.
he is faultless on the hurdle shot. If you don't know what the hurdle is, you go 14, you hurdle the 9, hit the 12, hurdle to the next
Second
section.
leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
15-yard break there for Marsh, who will be very happy to get on the board really quickly.
78.
He was subjected to a very good performance from Darryl Pilgrim in match 1, where he averaged 101.04. And Marsh himself averaged 88, which isn't poor.
95.
But his opponent looked really good. But this is looking better from Marsh.
99.
He doesn't really have any excuses to be cold or under-practiced. That's the thing about playing the night session as well. If you want to have a practice session during the day, you can. For maybe an hour or two.
180.
And then you can get to the arena around an hour before and feel nice and refreshed. We get our first maximum of the match from Andy Hamilton.
44.
A man who's been making major finals since 2007. Made the first final of the Grand Slam back then. Also made the final of the
81.
UK Open and the World Championship. Unfortunately for Andy, he wasn't able to get over the line against the likes of Adrian Lewis and Philip Taylor. An all-Stoke affair
60.
every time
And
he was in a major final.
145.
Where does he go with dart 3?
93.
A very good option. Possibility of breaking straight back is right in front of him.
$140.
And he's being warned
And
by
he
Marsh
requires
that if he misses
52.
this 52, Marshy is there to steal it. Double 16. Just opening up the bet a little bit.
36.
And he may pay the price.
Scott, you
for that
require
costly
80.
miss. Double 10. Oh, he's going over the top of the flight.
60.
Try and glance it in. It didn't work.
And he requires 16. Game
Double
shot on
8
the
is good though.
second leg.
And that is a
Andy
16 dart
Hamilton.
break back for Andy, who constantly licks those fingers just to get a little bit of extra grip in his hands. Nothing wrong with that. It definitely worked in leg 2.
Phil gets Andy to throw first. Game on. $134.
Earlier
94.
last year, when Scott Marsh was playing some live league action, I got a few people saying that he looks a bit like a young Phil Taylor. Now, you can make your own judgment about that.
100.
I'm not really that convinced, but to say that you look like the greatest player of all time can't be a bad thing, I suppose. He does get his darts to sit very similar to Phil.
95.
And we have been asked, of course, why Phil hasn't taken part in live league action over the last couple of years. Well, he's concentrating on the seniors.
140.
And let's not forget, he is retired. He can do as he pleases. Well, someone like Andy Hamilton is not ready to retire yet. I think he wants one more crack at the Pro Tour. He's still a bit of a workhorse who
100.
loves the game of darts. He's a bit like
And he
Simon
require
Whitlock like that.
127.
Possible 127 in game. But even if he'd got the treble 19, I don't think he was going to go for that bullseye.
59.
Ever since that first leg, Marsh seems to have lost his way.
41.
And
And
he
he
doesn't want to be
requires
losing his first 2
68.
games in this group. That would automatically put him on the back foot, chasing the people who are winning. Oh, I like that. Double 16.
Game shot on the
A
third
very
leg.
neglected
Andy Hamilton.
part of the board. When you've got 65 left, everybody goes either 15s or 25. But don't forget that treble 11
Scott
can
to
come
throw
calling
first.
as well.
Game on.
So far, so good for Andy, who's averaging 92.93 here
41.
and 50% on doubles. This is really accomplished. And if he's averaging 92 at this early stage, you just wonder what he may have in the locker after this.
140.
This is good stuff. He's using a dart that is a little different to last year. It looks a little slimmer Or maybe it's just my eyes. In the past, I've seen Andy averaging the 95 to 100 range and make it look easy. That's been a bit of a struggle over the last couple of years for him to grab wins on things like European Tour events, Players' Championship events. Everything's been really hard work. But he never gives up.
140.
There's a lot made of the people who broke away and made the PDC in the early 90s. What about the players who became mainstays in the PDC at the turn of the century?
125.
Started to grind out results and carve out livings for themselves and create images like Andy did. Premier League player.
60.
That has to be mentioned. That's a very select group.
121.
And not many Premier League players have played here at the Live League. Newton, Painter, Hamilton and Thornton. Very good.
Game shown the
even better than that. That's a 12 darter, and his average goes up even more. Got to be honest, I didn't see this coming.
Fifth leg is Andy to throw first.
He's obviously been practicing well. And that could be the case for all of the winners in the first 3 games. 100 average for Darryl Pilgrim.
59.
Personal best of the week for Teehan. And the way Hamilton's going, if he keeps this up, there'll be a personal best in the Live League for him.
100.
His current personal best is the lowest of all 5 players in this group. 97.79. He's currently bettering that.
100.
It's not the kind of thing that he really thinks about. He just wants to win the points. To get himself into Saturday once again. He has been there once before.
57.
In phase 2 of week 4, which wasn't that long ago. He did come 3rd and made it to Champions Week. But in the Champions Week, he didn't make the finals on the Saturday night.
100.
We'll be hoping over the next couple of weeks to go one better. To have a crack at that £6,000 prize come the end of the month. As for Marsh, though, it's another mid-80s average here. And he's being exposed
60.
by good play from his opponent. Solid, but doesn't get him to a finish. Still having to work hard to get to a match-winning shot. And too often in this match, Marsh has not found that first dart.
60.
You can tell by the look on his face that he's not happy. How many times in his career has he taken out something like this in 6 darts?
140.
That helps. It's been a commanding display. A 121 finish. A maximum in there. A very good average.
140.
And a chance to win your first 2 points.
And he required 42.
So over to you, Andy. Double 16 beckons after the single. First match dart.
Game shot on the match.
A really good
Andy
display
Hamilton
on the outer ring as well. 4 hits from 6 attempts is world class. 67% and 97.08 average. He doesn't quite set a personal best. He falls about 0.7 of a percentage point short of that, but he won't care. Great stats for him. 2 points in the bank, and everybody better watch out for the hammer because it looks like he's here to play. Marsh, problems with 2 losses from 2 games. Match number 4 promises lots. Hogan's got to get back on the winning horse as he takes on Darryl Pilgrim, who was mightily impressive in match 1. That's coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Online Darts Live League with me, Paul the Asset Nicholson. And match 4 is about to commence with Darryl Pilgrim looking to double down and get himself another really good display against Paul Hogan here, who let things slip against Ciaran Teehan in match 2. An opportunity to reset himself. After being 2-0 up against Teehan, he lost the next 4 legs. But Darryl Pilgrim was very handy in winning his first match of the night. The Flying Eagle, the nickname. I'm sure that's something to do with Crystal Palace. The guy's obsessed with Palace. He's got the colour on the shirt, the darts, the nickname.
Okay, first, it's Darryl to throw first. Game on.
Based on the fact that Crystal Palace seem to host the whole Ted Lasso experience. He must be a fan of that TV programme. But in footballing terms, this is Crystal Palace versus West Brom.
100.
Because it's no secret that Paul Hogan is a big West Brom fan.
$100.
Yeah, very good first display for Darryl. 101.04. That will make anybody feel good.
100.
But Hogan averaged 88.5 and was made to pay for some lackluster scoring in the middle of his match with the young Irishman Teehan, who we will see next against Andy Hamilton. That could be a very interesting game, considering they've both won their first match of the night.
100.
These guys have played once before in the Live League, and it was this year.
162.
There's a perfect setup from Darryl. Looking for a Rob Cross 302. And he's going to need it.
165. Darryl require 140.
He went for the 18s. I don't blame him. That was a really good effort. But Hogan
55.
is out of the traps again.
Required 36. Game shot on the
That is
first
a splendid
leg.
first leg from Paul Hogan. A 13-dart break of throw. And even though Darryl Pilgrim did not play poorly in that leg, it's Hogan who takes it.
Second against Paul to throw first. Game on.
Sometimes these more experienced dart players, and I don't want to call him older,
100.
because that would be disrespectful, but more experienced players like him and some others who shall remain nameless, when they get a little bit miffed at losing a match, and they have the opportunity to come back and put it right, they maybe play better as a result of adrenaline pumping through their veins. You can either use it, or it can ruin you.
$96.
I spoke a little bit earlier on this afternoon about the fact that we laid our great friend Nigel Pearson to rest today. And there's been some lovely tributes after
85.
that service this afternoon. Nigel will be sorely missed, but we did lose another member of our darting family this week in Sandra Greatbatch. Mother and great dart player.
83.
Mother to the great Sean Greatbatch, of course. And our thoughts go out to Sean and the whole Greatbatch crew. She will be sorely missed.
25.
Wonderful lady.
$90.
It's a good last start there from Darryl to get himself into position. Hogan doesn't want another one of those matches.
60.
He starts well and just completely
92.
loses it. Might stay there. I think all in all, that was a good plan. If he got that treble 20 for double 6. And went inside of that double 6 to lead double 3. That's the last thing you want to do
45.
with your opponent on 171.
Darryl required 40.
I think Darryl thought that through very well.
Game shown the
And that was
second
a very good leg.
Darryl Pilgrim.
16 darts this time to break straight back. So the man in Crystal Palace colours has got that bounce back ability, hasn't he?
So look, it's Darryl to throw first. $140.
He's got a bit of a Michael Smith look going on, hasn't he? Big beard, coiffured hair.
100.
You've got to carve out your own look, you know. But if you look at how Peter Wright looked in 1995 to now, it's two very different people.
140.
Same goes for Paul Hogan. If you look at him back in 1995 to now, he hasn't changed a great deal. It's just his hair is a little less plentiful and it's a different colour.
100.
He's still the same guy. I often wonder what I'm going to look like when I'm 50 odd. It's not that far away.
60.
Hope I'm still playing darts as well as Paul Hogan is at his age. He's had a great career, and it's far from over.
139.
I'd fancy him to get some senior honours over the next few seasons. But unfortunately, he's left a bogey number, not for the first time tonight.
46.
He's definitely been getting those scissors out on those flights.
44.
Trying to cut them down to
Darryl
a speedier shape.
115.
They've been slightly inconsistent this evening. Now, does Pilgrim have a bullseye in his future?
Game shown the third leg.
That was some save.
Darryl Pilgrim.
115, you're thinking 60-15 tops, but the 5 still leaves him a shot, and he finds what he needs.
Fourth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
It's fast becoming one of those evenings where Darryl Pilgrim can do no wrong.
43.
An average of 92.5, hasn't missed a double, and a ton plus checkout, and he's only at the halfway point, and getting better.
180.
I had a tweet from the darting nerd in the last 5 or 10 minutes talking about
100.
Darryl Pilgrim's average list topping mug. Very good idea, I have to say. Good to have you guys watching along.
140.
I'm sure you are supporting Darryl this evening. And if you are, it's going pretty well.
40.
It's happening again for Hogan. He's coming out of the traps, but he's not able to sustain the pace.
96.
And Pilgrim is just walking all over him right now with some really good scoring. And like I said at the start of this leg, he's getting better. The average keeps climbing.
85.
And again,
85.
it's in 3 figures. Easy setup. And he'll come back
53.
with 3 clean at a double. That's really good thinking from Hogan. Sets up the 2 darter, but it shouldn't matter.
Game shown
And
the
it doesn't.
flag.
Still
Darryl
hasn't
Pilgrim.
missed a darter double in this match. 3 hits from 3. He's had a bullseye checkout in there. This is incredibly impressive.
Fifth leg, it's Darryl to throw first.
Right now, he doesn't look like he's missing at any point.
180.
If I'd have looked into the stats a bit more, I should have seen this coming.
140.
2 maximums in the match to none from Hoagie. Highest finish for Pilgrim.
99.
Possibly the win coming for Pilgrim as well. Could be a king of the Ocky performance.
140.
A little bit earlier tonight, my tip for this match was over 1.5 180s in the match. That has happened.
94. 140.
Good response
Now
from
we record
Hogan. Really good
128.
140 shooting here. But the destiny of the game is not in his hands. It's in this guy's.
103.
Who misses his first double at the very end.
81.
Double 18. Must hit double 9.
Game show on the
Stunning
fifth leg.
12 darter.
Paul Hogan.
That was to save the match. Otherwise, he would have lost his first 2 games of the night.
Sixth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
Fine margins. That could have been a perfect doubling performance there for Pilgrim, who missed the bull for a second bull out in that
83.
match. And that would have given him his second 101 average of the night. So it's back to the start
140.
to see if he can do it again. And he just goes back to the 140s.
$100.
If Hogan doesn't double dip his bread in that treble 20 soon, he's going to find himself behind.
57.
And he's very fortunate that Pilgrim comes up trebleless there.
$140.
Wherever you look on the stat sheet, this has just been a brilliant match to watch.
96.
Great averages, great scoring, phenomenal doubles checkouts percentages.
84.
Hogan will have a chance to take us the distance for the first time tonight.
134.
What's
We
he going to
record
do?
94.
Bull first? Oh no. Double 10. And that could be
74.
costly.
Now we require 74.
Like I said, fine margins. 13 bull. Got to get the 13. He falls 1 point short of a shot of the bullseye. Treble 4 does you no good there.
42.
Was that
But
just
we
a
require
bad
20.
tactic there from Darryl? Getting a bit greedy. Doesn't
Game
matter
show
now
the
because it is
sixth leg.
3-3. And
Paul
after
Hogan.
all of that good play from Pilgrim earlier in the match, he still has work to do to double his points tally. Hogan is on the hunt.
7th and final leg, it's Darryl to throw first.
Even though Hogan has done great work
100.
over the last couple of legs, he still has to break Darryl to win this match.
45. $58.
Maybe he's allowed that one error.
$140.
He's not going to be allowed any more. You know that for sure. Because Hogan is on the charge. He's playing better now than he has at any point tonight.
131.
Full credit to Pilgrim, who finds 2 trebles.
100.
On as even in the legs. Pretty much on as even in the score. This game deserves a really good climax. And Hogan's thinking to himself, just give me a chance.
90.
Just give me a chance. Can he leave 76?
140.
Yes, he can.
Dowry require
And if this goes
122.
on the bullseye once again, Pilgrim deserves one truckload of credit. No such joy.
53.
So Hogan gets his
We require
opportunity of winning this
76.
by 4 legs to 3 from 3-1 down. And he's getting 2 at double 8. A
Game
brilliant
shot on the
performance
match. Paul Hogan.
against an opponent who was playing super well and didn't do a lot wrong. He did have one shot at the bullseye to win the match with a perfect doubling performance, but ultimately that one miss has cost him hugely. 97.9 for Pilgrim, another good average for him, but Hogan timed everything to perfection in the end to get himself his first 2 points in this group. That's 4 matches down, and when we come back, it's going to be Andy the Hammer Hamilton playing his second match of the night up against Ciaran Teehan, and they both won their first game tonight, so this one could be a cracker in a few moments. Welcome back, and more live league action is coming your way right here as Ciaran Teehan comes back to the oche to try and do more damage, this time against Andy Hamilton, who had a very good first game of the night. These guys have played each other a couple of times before, and it was 1 game all when they did play each other. We'll talk about that a little bit more in due course, but 4 players of the 5 in the group have registered points so far. 2 for Hamilton, 2 for Teehan, 2 for Hogan, 2 for Pilgrim. Only person not to register points is Scott Marsh, who was a lot of people's favourite to win this group. Just goes to show that darts is very unpredictable sometimes.
Okay, first look, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
So Teehan comes back to the oche now, up against an opponent that he hit a 170 checkout against a matter of just a few weeks ago, when they played each other in the week 4 finals in phase 2. It was Andy Hamilton that beat Teehan to make Champions Week in the previous phase. That was the 3rd place playoff. Earlier in the night, Teehan had won by 4 legs to 2.
100.
And hit that 170 checkout that I've already mentioned. But later on, Hamilton got his revenge by 4 legs to 3. And it cost Teehan a spot in Champions Week. Consequently though,
140.
Andy was not able to find his way to the Saturday night in Champions Week to bag some decent cash.
$39.
Oh, that one had a really violent collision with the flight, didn't it? Well, I suppose everybody at the minute is thinking they want to do the same as Jim McEwen and Rob Owen. They want to get all the way to the end of the rainbow to pick up that very large cheque for £6,000.
100.
In order to do that, you have to make your weekly finals first. A few running repairs here for Kieran. Once you make the weekly finals, you have to make the top 3 there. And when you're in Champions Week, you have to qualify for the finals in that week. Then you have to do the damage on the Saturday night there. It's a very difficult
59.
process. You have to be really consistent over the course of 2 different weeks. The averages in those 2 meetings were very similar, all hovering around the 90 mark.
136.
That in itself is pretty good. But based on tonight's showings, 90 averages aren't going to get much done. We've just seen Paul Hogan win with a 93, defying a 97
94
from Darryl Pilgrim.
And he required 48.
We've already had a ton plus average from Darryl Pilgrim in his first match. Hamilton for the first leg.
Game shown the
first
first
leg. He does take
leg.
it very well in 15
Andy
darts.
Hamilton.
If he can maintain this level of performance all the way through the night, he's going to be bagging more than 2 points, I can tell you that.
Second leg, it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
I haven't seen Andy play this consistently at the start of a campaign for a while. Are these newer darts starting to work really well? I have to agree that they are.
140.
He's throwing those darts really freely. There's not a great deal of effort in that throw. And that is bad news for his opponents tonight.
117.
People often ask me what is the first person I think of when we talk about comebacks. Well, of course it's Andy Hamilton. 2 comebacks in his career have
60.
been the 2 biggest highlights of his career in a lot of people's eyes. The comeback against Whitlock at the match play. He won, I think it was the last 8 legs of the contest.
45.
And then against Whitlock again at the 2012 Worlds, where he was drastically down in sets and ended up winning that one by 6 legs to 5, or 6 sets to 5.
$95.
Ironically, in that championship, I could have played against Andy in the quarterfinals, but I didn't get through Kim Hybrex in the last 16. I would have loved to have shared the stage with Andy that day.
93.
But shoulda, woulda, coulda. It was one of those things. It didn't happen, and it wasn't meant to. Now, Teehan's got all sorts of issues here, because Hamilton, to me, looks really sharp.
125.
And even when he's just flinging that dart away, which to me looks out of rhythm, he's still hitting the target.
55. And he required 81.
Score is low again after 12. And his opponent is not finding the mark like he did earlier against Paul Hogan.
41.
It's almost like Andy knows he's playing well. And he knows he's going to throw something decent.
171.
Double 10, so
and
a little bit of a scare
40.
here. Just in case Andy doesn't find tops.
Game
But of
on the
course he does.
second leg. Andy Hamilton.
He looks super confident, and why wouldn't you when you're averaging 100 so far at a 2-0 advantage? I haven't seen Andy play this well in a while. It's great to watch.
So look, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, very decent stuff.
96.
15 and 16 darts added to that average there, just shy of 97. I've been all over the world with this guy. We've been to Australia together. We did an exhibition
140.
in Melbourne for what is now Marvel Stadium. We had a very good time there. We went to the cricket together. We went to a lovely winery together
131.
in the Yarra Valley, just outside of Melbourne. We've been to Canada together, the United States, all over Europe. And I still classify him as the man with the best laugh in darts.
99.
We used to hang around the same guys at the same time, likes of Wes Newton, Colin Osborne. And the reason I did that is because they were good lads. Always good for a laugh. Always good
96.
at the end of a day when you might not have had the best tournament, but it would still perk you up. Is it the 18s here for Andy? First time he's been under pressure for a while. In the scoring stakes anyway, but it's his turn to leave a 170. Yeah, good stuff there from Teehan to leave 93.
170.
This will be the best finish since Tuesday. Got to throw this pretty hard. Well done. Bull.
145.
Still at the age of 55. He
Kieran
fancies
93.
getting shots like that. He was not far away. A very difficult ask is 93 under pressure, but he's made it look really simple. That's a great 2-dot finish from Ciaran Teehan, especially when his opponent has just missed a 170 for 3-0. A great pressure shot.
Fourth leg is Andy to throw first. Game on.
His average went up 6 points in that leg, and he lost it.
59.
I've talked so many times this week already about how averages can lie. They can't see these averages. They don't have a monitor in there that they can see themselves playing on. All they can see
60.
are the advertising walls around them, the referee, Unfortunately, they can see Owen Binks. He's not a mirage. Only joking, Owen. Only joking.
137.
And they can, of course, see the dartboard and a tablet to the left of the board that shows their scores.
100.
That's why you might see the players looking to the left of the board quite often. Andy choosing not to go 15s, 25 or 18s on the first dart purely because he's ahead.
145.
But that's really good play. Super confident stuff from the hammer. Let's have a little look at what he's been doing on the Challenge Tour this year so far.
And he requires 160.
He's been averaging under 85. He's only played 8 matches. In fact, he's only played 3 tournaments. And that was back in January. Over the course of a couple of days. He beat the likes of Robert Owen, Rob Collins, Roman Benecki, great young player from Czech Republic.
81.
So he has had some good wins
and
this year, but
104.
he hasn't been playing as much. Treble 18 will leave double 16.
$39.
I would classify that as a bit of a slip. But it doesn't really matter what Kieran does here. And he has the destiny of the leg in his hands.
105.
And that 25
and
that's
he
just been hit
65.
is exactly what Andy requires here. And of course he gets the bull. Double 6.
Game shown the
That
full
is super
play.
sharp.
Andy Hamilton.
Even when he misses the 25, he goes south, gets the single, picks double 6 instead of double 4. And a beautifully executed
So
shot.
it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
As far as Teehan's Challenge Tour season is concerned, it's been pretty consistent.
131.
Keeps on winning a couple of games per tournament, but not going past that. He's lost out to the likes of Dave Pallett, Gary Blades, Michael Flynn, Robert Thornton,
25.
Stu Wilson and Rhys Robinson have all accounted for him in Challenge Tour last 64s and that kind of thing.
96.
They're the kind of players that you're going to run into, and you have to take them out if you want to go further. I told a story earlier in the week about how Teehan went to his very first Challenge Tour event thinking, oh, this is fun. He won it the first time he turned up.
140.
Must have thought it was easy. But he hasn't won another one since. So it's anything but easy.
74.
And his average has come down to 96. Teehan's has gone up to 90. And we will reach the halfway point at the conclusion
96.
of match 5. And we will start the second half with Scott Marsh and Paul Hogan. Big match for Scott, that, because he's still looking for his first win of the evening.
100.
But what's good for Marsh is the fact that nobody has won 2 games yet. That's going to change in this game, though. One of these guys is going to be at the top of the tree come the halfway point
56.
of Thursday night.
Here in your record 100.
Single 20.
80.
Would have been the target. All is well, as long as he finds double 10 or double 5.
100. Here in your record
Doesn't
20.
want to be giving a look at 84 for Andy. Too safe, he's got to go for it.
Game show on the fifth
And well
leg.
done to
Ciaran
Teehan, who has
Teehan.
found his way to one leg behind now. And we know from watching Paul Hogan a little bit earlier against Pilgrim that this match is very much not done yet.
Sixth leg, it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
In these best of 7 leg matches, you have to be really good at finishing your opponent off.
100.
It's fair to say that the Live League over the last couple of years has established the best of 7 legs as its format.
180.
And a lot of people have got used to that, including these guys who have played in the 2022 campaign. But outside of the Live League, there's not a great deal of places that do best of 7 anymore. Everything seems to be going to a longer
96.
format. Teehan starts with a max.
43.
He doesn't back it up, to the delight of Andy Hamilton, who this time on 305 may choose a different approach. Decides to persevere on the 60.
41.
Are things falling slightly apart at the wrong time? This is the leg that Andy's supposed to win. He has the darts.
96.
If I was in his shoes right now, I'd be thinking 140. Leave 124. Realistic shot. Now he's thinking ton or a 94.
60.
Well, that puzzles me a little bit. Why didn't he go for the treble 18? It was open. Maybe he thought he could use that first dart that was blocking it to get it into that 60 bed, which ultimately he couldn't.
84.
Perfect first dart to try and pressurize that 98. Throw this hard.
125.
And when you do that, sometimes you do pull it left.
Here in your record, 98.
All the same, Teehan's thinking I must hit this. Double 19.
79.
Not quite. And he's just hit
And
the
he
amount of
requires
points that
79.
Andy now requires. One dart for the match. Just open up the bed a little bit to be the first person to register 4 points in Group B.
59.
Just under-delivered.
Here in your require, 19.
And Teehan's got a tricky-looking 19 points here. He's got to split the 17 and 19 beds to get the single 3. Great shot. Double 4.
15.
Should be the end of the match now.
And he required 20.
Andy will be aiming for the top half of this double 10. Top half of the board. And a lovely shot at the double 5 to get 4 points
Andy Hamilton.
from a possible 4. So if he can replicate that in the second half of our play tonight, he could have a very, very good Friday morning. 87.69 for Kieran. Not too bad, but ultimately it is a loss for the first time in this group. And Hamilton, whose average was above 100 a lot of the early part of that match, it does come down by a good 10 points. Plus, it's not a bad checkout percentage at 44. He was clinical at the right times, and he took his chance when he was given it at the end there. So well done to all of the players in the first half of our action in Group B. But now we go down to Scott Marsh and Paul Hogan in the next match to get us cracking with half number 2. And that's coming right up. Hello and welcome back to the second half of our play here in Group B. Scott Marsh will have a third attempt at getting his first win of the night against Paul Hogan, who's going to be feeling chipper after winning his second match of the night against Darryl Pilgrim.
3 more each.
There is our Group B table at the halfway point of night 1. Marsh at the bottom, Hamilton at the top, and everybody in between who's won 1 game from 2.
Okay, first look at Scott to throw first.
It's all to play for.
Game on.
But it has to be said, with Marsh the only person not picking up points yet, if that continues over the next hour, he may be in trouble
64.
of making the Saturday finals.
$100.
It's commonly thought that it's easier to get through a Group B than it is a Group C and a Group A because 3 spots are available from 5 players. Just from a numbers perspective, that makes sense. But the quality that's on show on this group means that nobody is going to canter their way to the finals, especially when Hogan is starting to really play well. Average of 93 against Pilgrim
66
with that 4-3 win. And I can categorically say, because I'm not that far from the playing facility and even closer
100
to the walkthrough from the practice room to the hockey, that when Hogan won that match against Pilgrim, he was rather pleased. I think the words were, get in.
133. We reckon 121.
Shot at Bull for the first one if he wants it. He did want it.
96.
Everybody loves to win a best of 7 leg match when they're 3-1 down. That's where you just grow an extra half an inch and think,
25.
yeah, I can do it from any position. 88.
Nine.
Still a chance for Marsh to take this first leg on the throw.
Scott, you require 135.
Now, if he wants this 25, it's got to be low. Unfortunately, he went too low.
43. Paul, you requires 16.
88. And it
Game's
is
on the
in
first
there for a
leg.
16-dart
Hogan.
break of throw. So there's a really interesting thing happening here because Marsh is not playing his best darts and Hogan is taking advantage.
Second leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
It's almost as if Marsh at the back of the room is just a little puzzled as to why he's not playing anywhere near his best.
60.
He did scrape through quite a few matches over the last couple of days in Group A, in picking up 14 points from a possible 20. Even if he'd made it to 16 points, he wouldn't have got through because his leg difference wasn't as good as Matt Dennant.
100.
But so far, he's been backed into a corner by people who seem to have his number. And darts like that are going to puzzle him even more.
$40.
Based on what we've seen so far, you'd have to think that
140.
the favourite 3 for coming through this group would be Pilgrim, Hogan, and Hamilton. So maybe the 2 guys coming from Group A
100.
are maybe just a little bit more tired than the other 3. Time will tell over the course of the next 4.5 matches. And don't forget about tomorrow night's play as well, which will finalise the table and give us our Saturday finalists.
81. We require 141.
Seen him take out 141 for a 9-darter before in his England shirt.
105.
And funnily enough, when he hit that 9, it was on double 18. This double 18 is for a second consecutive 16 darter.
100. But we require 36.
Whatever Marsh does, he just doesn't seem to have the answer.
Aim's on the second leg.
And Hogan is
Oh,
starting to
Hogan.
find himself on the doubles that he really does prefer. He likes 16s and 8s. He likes double 18. They're working. He's winning.
So look at Scott to throw first. Game on.
The gap in the averages is very sizable. That must be closed
140.
really quickly. Many a time Marsh has gone down 2-0, 3-0, 3-1 and come back to win. But how many times can you do that?
82.
You've only got so many lives, so many big fight backs in you. Every now and again you want to have an easy win with just playing well.
$60.
And this is really good from Hogan.
180.
He's in the mood, all right. And it looks like the veterans are going for the throat tonight. Who said it's a young man's game?
41.
The over 50s are having it their way tonight. Paul Hogan's played a little bit of challenge tour this year.
59.
Not a great deal of success. Did make it last 16 though, back on the 21st of January. Beat Reese Robinson and Prakash Jiwa en route to that last 16 where he lost out to Chris Gilliland, a
100.
friend of the live league. But hasn't played any more challenge tours since then. Just the 3 days in
100.
January that he played, but has focused
Scott,
on
you
other
require
things since then.
160.
Like playing at the Lakeside, which is something that Scott Marsh did.
100. But we require 80.
Is it going to be 3-0? Let's find out.
60.
Will it be
Scott, you
2-1
require
instead?
60.
Hasn't had a shot at double yet in this match, but that's about to change.
Game's on the third
He's
leg.
very glad that he got a shot
Scott
there.
Marsh.
It's now 2-1, and even when he walks to the board, you just get the feeling that he feels a little bit pessimistic.
Fourth leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
That's only a hold of throw. I
100.
mentioned the difference in the averages is almost 20 points. But Marsh's average came up 10 points in that previous leg, so that's something to be positive about.
121.
Is he just starting to find it, maybe? Marsh's last game will come in match
100.
9. Hogan's last game comes in match 8 against Andy Hamilton. That could be really telling for who finishes at the top of the table by the end of the night.
140.
Final game of the night is Hamilton versus Darryl Pilgrim, which could also have a big bearing on that.
$45.
I don't think it's any surprise to a lot of my darting friends that of these 5 players on the Challenge Tour this year,
100.
Darryl Pilgrim is averaging the most because he's number 2 on the Challenge Tour averages list behind Stephen Burton, who consequently is in Champions Week
60.
after winning week 1.
Scott, you require
And
140.
Pilgrim is number 1 on the averages table on the Pro Tour. Another one of those for double 10.
130.
It's not going to be another one of those games for Hogan, is it? He was 2-0 up against Ciaran Teehan and lost the next 4 legs.
100.
He'll be hoping
So
not.
you required 10. Game's on the fourth.
But it is a possibility, as Marsh has got himself back into this match with that break of throw. And if he holds in leg 5, he is very much the favourite to win this match.
Fifth leg, it's Scott to throw first.
And all of a sudden, the snarl is back. The bounce in this step is back. The average is up another 10 points from the last leg. And he's starting to play better.
140.
Yes, he was averaging 67 after 2 legs. Now he's averaging 87. If he puts in a seismic leg here, he could be averaging 97 by the time we go into leg 6. To be able to turn things around in a game like this, the way that Scott Marsh is doing, deserves a lot of credit. Some players just don't have that quality to grind it out. This guy is a grinder. He may not have a classic action.
41.
He may not be the best technician. But the best compliment I can pay Marsh is that he reminds me of John Part. Not the best technician.
100.
Not noted for massive scoring or massive finishing. Every now and again he'll do it. But he has this ability to grind results out better than most.
100.
And he's doing it again.
$44.
Just imagine this table, if things are all tied up.
80.
Going into tomorrow, we'll be none the wiser as to who could get through. Tops for Marsh.
60.
Now this 1-3-2 could be a game changer because it is for a break back. 57 bull. Even if he got the 57, the bull was covered.
52.
It would have taken something almost
Scott, you required 20.
magic to find its way through. From the left-hand side.
No
He's
score.
not able to find the double 10. And Hogan will have a go
80.
at the finish that Marsh couldn't take in his previous visit. But a different way. Oh boy. That is exactly what Scott Marsh wanted to see.
67.
And that hasn't worked out either.
Scott, you required 20.
Take 2 on double 10.
Game's on the fifth.
This time it works.
Scott Marsh.
His average will probably go down a little bit after that 5th leg, but he won't care. He is now 3-2 ahead after being 2-0 down.
6th leg, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
Yes, the average came down by about 4 points.
140.
37% on the doubles. 3 hits from 8, which is decent.
121.
Pretty similar for Paul Hogan. 2 hits from 6 attempts, but costly misses in the last leg and legs before that.
60.
He could well be in the wind right now, but unfortunately he has to win the last 2 legs to get himself onto 4 points with Andy Hamilton. If it is Marsh to win this match, we'll have 4 players on 2 and 1 on 4.
96.
It couldn't be tighter. There's defiance from Crocodile
180.
Dundee. He's not going to go quietly.
$60. We require
What is it
121.
Bull Pullman said on Independence Day? Do not go quietly into that good night. That's exactly what Hogan's doing. And he's leading double
89.
16. If he was to come out a winner again by 4 legs to 3,
128. We require
I think he's
32.
going to walk past me again and say, get in once again.
Game
It's a
shot, the
possibility.
flag.
Because we
Paul
are going
Hogan.
the distance. That 13 darter from Paul Hogan is the best leg of this match so far. So if you believe in momentum, the man has it.
7th and final leg. It's Scott to throw first. Game on.
But he doesn't have the start. And what a start it is.
140.
Brilliant. The only way to classify it.
$60.
And not good enough, unfortunately, for Hogan. Quite astounding that these two have never met in the Live League before.
91.
And they've played in the Live League since the very first week. Even Marsh, who played during lockdown, when we were playing for our own homes. In his case, his own garage. And when we came to the studio, these guys were here the first fortnight. Well over a year ago. And this is their first meeting.
100.
Incredible. When you consider some of the head-to-head records are quite vast. Must get a treble.
140.
Stunning dart there from Hogan.
Scott, you
Both on
require
finishes after 9.
170.
This is a great last leg. Oh, an interesting
85.
play there, and I
We
don't
require
know
161.
if it was the right one. This is the right one. Would have been the right time as well.
97. Scott, you
Both on
require
2 darters after
85.
12. It's crunch time. What have you got with 83 left? Even a single 15 would have made this a bit easier. He doesn't get the 51, and Hogan can walk away with another 4-3 victory if he can find the equivalent of 2 double 16s.
33.
He won't go that route, of course.
We require 64.
It'll be treble 16 for double 8. But double 16 wins the match.
Shot on the
And
match.
he's done it again.
Paul
He's
Hogan.
broken in the last leg of the contest, and he's winning tight ones tonight, isn't he? He's beaten Darryl Pilgrim by 4 legs to 3, and he's just beaten Scott Marsh by the same margin. 93.83 and 44% on the doubles is a winning formula for Paul Hogan. Marsh not having anything go his way tonight. He was defiant at times, but unfortunately it's 3 games for him without any wins at all, and he stays at the foot of the table. Next, we're going to look at Pilgrim up against Teehan as they both vie to get their names next to 4 points in the table, and that's coming up after the break. bagel of the night.
Second leg, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
I have been mightily impressed with Pilgrim so far
60.
this evening. I wasn't sure what kind of form he was going to bring. But so far, so good.
95. $140.
Well, from our earlier picks in the night on Sporty Stuff TV. The first pick for Scott Marsh to be king of the Ocky against Pilgrim. That did not work out.
100.
But Pilgrim and Hogan to get more than 1.5 180s in their match. That did come in. And Scott Marsh to get the highest checkout against Hogan. That did not. The only other one left is in the next match between Hogan and Hamilton. And that is for there to be more than 5.5 legs. So if it's 3-3 going into the last leg of that contest, or indeed it is a 4-2 victory either way, that one will also come in. Remember, please gamble responsibly if you are having a flutter tonight.
99. Now we require 170.
Remember, it's for over 18s only, and begambleaware.org for more information.
68.
It's turned into a better visit than he thought it was going to be. When he got that treble 1 and the 5. This could be very good.
85.
I just get the feeling that Pilgrim is going to give this a scare.
102.
Based on the way he's played earlier this evening. And there is the scare. There is the hit.
On the second leg.
He's just
Darryl
playing
Pilgrim
that well at the minute that 15 darts for a leg is pretty much regulation stuff for him.
So look, it's Darryl to throw first.
This guy is a seriously dangerous player. He's fast becoming.
99.
And we're not even at Saturday yet. One of the favourites to win this week. We've seen some mightily impressive stuff from Matthew Dennant.
42.
From some other quarters as well, like James Richardson earlier on today. And particularly Simon Stevenson, who got the most points and best leg difference of anybody in Group C.
180.
But this guy is playing more spectacularly than anyone. And add to that a little smidgen of consistency as well.
140.
He really is hitting that 60 with ease.
98.
A lot of people might have switched to the bullseye with that last start, but I don't mind that 18 switch when you've got the lead that he has.
135.
Even with that 2 treble visit, Teehan's not getting to a finish, so Pilgrim can take his time. He's a super tidy player. The average keeps getting better. It's almost as if Paul Hogan has put him in this mood
96.
because he denied him a second win out of 2 matches. Double 16. He's missed a double for the first time.
Game shown the third leg.
But he fixes it really quickly. This is the most destructive performance of the 3 that we've seen from Darryl Pilgrim tonight. But he's not over the line yet.
Fourth leg, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
There you see the nature of that performance.
57.
And if he finds a 12 darter here, that should be enough.
96.
All week
59.
long, Ciaran Teehan has been going up against some very good dart players. But I think he would probably admit at this point that Darryl is probably the best person he's played.
140.
There were times when Matthew Dennant was on the cusp of getting a personal best average earlier in the week. Not once, but twice. He put himself 3-0 up, averaging around 107. On one occasion, the average came down, and he still won.
133.
On another occasion, it came down, and he lost the match. The most important thing here for Darryl is to get over the line and get those points. And what could be crucial for his qualification is whether he wins this by 4 legs to 0. His leg difference is already very good.
52. Kieran, you require
Teehan
106.
could use this to limit the damage. And it's possible. Double 16 for him.
Game shown
And
the
that's a
fourth
beautiful
leg.
checkout.
Ciaran
This
Teehan.
game is littered with brilliance. And the outer ring is submitting right
Feels
now.
like it's Darryl to throw first.
Leg difference for Pilgrim is +2. Teehan's is even.
58.
So Pilgrim's 2 legs ahead. And if Teehan is to lose this match, he must limit the damage as much as he possibly can.
85.
And I feel like I've said this every game. It's not like Kieran has played poorly. He's averaging 94.
$140.
Pilgrim is in some sort of fettle where maybe he's never played this well before. And by that I mean game on game. He's constantly averaging around 100. Here he goes again. He's like a Whitesnake song.
133.
And it would be pretty fitting if he was to take out that big fish finish.
100. And we require
I suggest you have a
170.
crack at this if you get the 2 treble 20s. Maybe it's a good thing that he didn't get it.
89.
But he slips into the single 9 and leaves things a little bit more awkward than maybe they should have been.
$96.
He's hit 3 doubles
Now we
from
require
4 attempts in
81.
this match. He's been lethal. In order to win by 4 legs to 1, he must find the bull. And he
Game
does.
shot on the match.
That is
Darryl
another
Pilgrim.
splendid display with another ton plus average by the looks of it. But the finishing was nothing short of miraculous. Brilliant from Darryl Pilgrim, 103.93. That's the best display of the entire week so far, and I can't say I'm surprised because the guy's in form and 80% on the checkouts. Look at Teehan, 97 average and 100%. Didn't get enough shots because of the brilliance of his English opponent. Simple as that. And it is Pilgrim who goes to 4 points with Andy Hamilton and with Paul Hogan. They're now going to do battle in game number 8. So the plot is starting to thicken in Group B. Come back for that game in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes.
6 more each.
Things are picking up in Group B, aren't they, with some spectacular performances tonight. And what are we going to get from the next match? I can guarantee you one thing. Someone's going to get to 6 points. It's either the Hammer or Crocodile Dundee. This is the final match of the night for Paul Hogan. But Hammer's got 2 left. So he's still undefeated and can get to 8 if he can defeat Paul Hogan here. And then Darryl Pilgrim in match 10. That right now looks like a pretty big ask. He will concentrate on that as and when it happens.
Okay, first look, it's Paul to throw first.
But Hogan comes back to the
Game
hockey
on.
for the last time tonight against Andy Hamilton. And they have played a couple of times before on this hockey. In fact, they played in Champions Week Group C only a matter of a few weeks ago. Andy didn't make the finals in that Champions Week. But Hogan did. In fact, that's the thing that Paul Hogan's been really good at in 2022.
140.
He's made both Champions Weeks in both phases so far this year. So is that an omen? Does that mean he's going to get through this group and get through the finals on Saturday
58.
to grace us with his presence in a 3rd Champions Week for 2022? Is he going to go further?
100.
Is he going to get close to that £6,000 this time? Because he hasn't won a phase either this year or last year.
27. We record 136.
Good start here from Hogan. Another one of those will be handy.
100.
This is one thing you have to get used to playing on Sporty Stuff TV at the Online Darts Live League. Playing at this time of the morning.
85.
12.
We require 36.
That natural to be playing at this time. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And Hogan has been doing it for over a year. And he looks pretty comfortable with it right now as he takes double 9 for an early lead of 1 leg to 0.
Second leg, it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
When they did play it in Champions Week, Andy won by 4 legs to 2. And then the exact opposite happened the following day. It's quite strange, actually. When Andy won 4-2, he averaged 92, and Paul averaged 89. The next day, Andy averaged 92 again, and lost to Hogan, who won with an 89.
95.
Very, very odd statistics. No ton plus outs in those games. And not that many 180s either in the second game, but Andy got 4 in the first encounter.
99.
I picked that this game would go at least 6 legs earlier tonight. So let's see if I am right by the end of it.
100.
Looks very stable on the hockey. As he stands very upright. Feet are close together.
180.
That one was perfectly pitched, wasn't it? A slight lean in the action here of Hogan. Leaning into that right hip.
76. And he record 141.
Andy again standing up straight. Side on. Looking for the 1-4-1. Unfortunately, it's not for a 9-darter. That's something that is missing from 2022 so far.
29.
That 29 might just invite Hogan back in.
$140. And he requires
And it
112.
has. What can Andy do to deflect Hogan with this 112? Double 16.
96.
And Hogan can double his lead if
Oh,
he
you
can
require
find
90.
236. It's got to be the 25 and bull again. Earlier when he had this, he hit the bull. He's wondering whether he goes the 51 this time. He gets the 25. But he doesn't get the centre.
And he requires 16.
1-all coming in. Providing double 8 is found. With 2 different markers to use.
No score.
And isn't able to use either of them.
Oh, you require 42.
Is it a 6? Of course it is. Double 18 is used to perfection to take a 2-0 lead. If he gets 2 more legs from this match, he will be in a very comfortable position going into Friday with 6 points in the table.
So look, it's Paul to throw first. Game on.
And if that does happen, at least Andy has the consolation of knowing that he could still too get to 6 points.
100.
But would have to beat Darryl Pilgrim in order to get there. This group is super tight. Maybe it's a good thing that 3 people come through this group, because there is the possibility that 3 players could have the same points by this time tomorrow.
$100.
Paul does share a name with a former PDC South African representative, Sean Hogan. But I think it's very plausible for us to say that Paul is the best Hogan in darts.
96.
Has he underachieved in his career? I'd probably have to say yes, even though he's treated it as a very serious hobby for the last 30 years.
100.
Played for a couple of very established counties in Hampshire and Berkshire. He's played for his country many times. Played in World Championships. But as far as individual titles are concerned,
95.
I would have to say that he has underachieved. British Classic champion in 2005. He won the Gold Cup in 2013, a very prestigious trophy.
105.
But aside all of the local tournaments that he's won, that's pretty much it. But he has created a lot of column inches over the years in beating established players in UK Opens and things like that.
174. Well, you require 96.
And if he takes this 96, Hamilton's going to be almost suffocated by this brilliance.
And
that is brilliant.
Paul Hogan.
3-0 with Hamilton hitting a 174 to leave tops. And yet the leg is already over.
4th leg is Andy to throw first.
It has not taken Hogan long to get to this scoreline. Paul's played in 11 World Championships, starting in 1995. He also played in 96 and 99.
81.
Then a 5-year gap. He came back in 2004, the year that Andy Fordham won the title. And a smattering of other appearances as well. And the likes of 2014, 17, where he lost out to Glenn Durrant in a match that he had match darts in. He's also played in the last 2 showings of the BDO/WDF World Championship.
140.
He's played in 18 World Masters, dating back to 1989. He got to the last 32 of that one. And here's one for you. If you don't know it, I'm going to let you have a little bit of a guess. as to who Paul Hogan
58.
lost to back in 1989. I'm leaving it hanging in the
100.
air because, believe me, it's a big name. The person he beat just before he played said person was Stefan Ecklaert of Belgium, a well-known Belgian player from back then.
100.
But on the 1st of December 1989, he lost in his very first World Masters, 2-1 to
45.
Eric Bristow.
And he required 122.
Well, with no
54.
trouble there. Hogan will think, if I put in a 140 here, I could still win by 4 legs to 0. No such luck.
45.
I think he's already
And he
thinking
requires
about leg
68.
5. Single 16 for double to give Andy his first leg. You just don't know how valuable this could be.
50.
He slips into the double 7.
$100.
I don't think Andy can make a mistake this time. And he's splitting it. Double 4.
Game shown the
Yeah,
fourth.
good play there from Andy.
Andy Hamilton.
He thought of a way of taking those 18 points, stuck to his plan, didn't even think about the double 9, and very well played.
Fifth leg is Paul to throw first. Game on. 100.
That will please Paul there, just getting off with the ton. Paul's also played in PDC ranked events. Only played in one Eastbourne Open, which is
96.
kind of puzzling because it wouldn't be that far a drive for him. That was back in 2002 where he made the last 32. He hasn't played in that many Challenge Tour events in his career. Only 13 of them.
125.
And one UK Open qualifier back in 2003. When we talk about him being the professional amateur, the reason for that is because there have been so many events that he hasn't played
58.
in through choice. Because he enjoys his life, he works, has a family, and darts is just a hobby to him.
140.
He just happens to be a world-class talent at his hobby. And I kind of dig that.
140.
Darts from Andy. That two-treble visit does get him closer.
36.
But Hogan's thinking, just score a ton here, leave double 18 and get this match done.
100.
And there's the ton. $171 is on the menu.
137.
Slightly short, but
We
Hamilton
require
thinks this match is
36.
done, and I think he's right. And we
18.
were both wrong.
And he requires 70.
What a bonus this is. Hamilton's leg difference is currently at +5. He's trying to protect that. Double 16 will get him closer to Hogan's score.
54.
Now it's Hogan's turn on
We
18.
require 18.
He goes straight for it. And
Game
hits it straight
shot
away.
on the match.
A really good
Paul
performance.
Hogan.
And he will go into Friday's play with 6 points. It wasn't his biggest average of the night, but it was better than his opponents. And the doubles have been very consistent throughout the night. The last two performances from Hogan, he was 44%. This was a little bit less than that, but still good enough to register 3 wins from 4 on Thursday and, of course, a little bit of Friday morning. We have 2 matches left, and our penultimate game will be Scott Marsh looking for his first win of the night still. He won't want to go home without a win, but Ciaran Teehan stands in his way when we come back. Hello, our penultimate match of this evening's play, or this morning's play, will get underway in just a few short moments. And it is a third meeting of the week between Ciaran Teehan and Scott Marsh. Unexpectedly, this is Scott Marsh trying to get his first win of the night after losing 3 straight a little bit earlier on this evening. There you see Paul Hogan, who has completed his 4 matches, the first person to do so. The other players will complete theirs in this match and the next. A great match to finish with Pilgrim, who has been dominant at times. Stopped by Hogan, but we'll have a game against the Hammer to finish up.
It's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
But before we get there, let's have a look at these two. These two for the 3rd time this week.
28.
When they played on Tuesday, Marsh won by 4 legs to 3. And then yesterday, it was even better. 4 legs to 0. So maybe Marsh needs to play someone who he's dominated this week to try and get himself in the mix. The best he can do in this table now
96.
is 10 points by the end of tomorrow. Now my thinking is he's going to have to get to at least 8. If he can only muster up 6 points between now and the end of tomorrow, I think he might fall short.
100.
So 2 points here would make tomorrow night a little bit simpler. But I've seen in the past someone have a really bad Thursday, and then Friday's a different day. They obliterate the field and find their way through to the weekly finals.
140.
Marsh must put Teehan under pressure from the very get-go. If he doesn't, this kid can front run well.
96.
He's got himself 2 points in the table
Kieran,
himself
137.
via an earlier win against Paul Hogan. The only person to beat Paul Hogan tonight. Say no more.
57. Scott, you require 110.
The snarl. The 51. The miss.
74.
And Teehan's got options.
54. Kieran, you require 80.
2 single 20s here is a good play. Double top.
Game shot on
And
the
your first leg is taken by the
Ciaran
Irishman
Teehan.
in 18 darts. So everything seems to be getting worse for Marsh by the minute. He's got to get hold of this game, and quickly.
So going to get Scott to throw first. Game on.
If you think about what Scott has done in his career, his steel tip career has only taken off in the last 2 years. He predominantly went for soft tip events up until around 2019. And when COVID hit, he
84.
was asked to take part in the live league when we were playing from home. And after that, he just found a bit more form at steel tip darts and started to play more international stuff. Made his World Championship
58.
debut recently. Made the last 16 of the Lakeside, where he lost out to Andy Barton's in what was a destructive display from the Belgian. He would consequently lose out to Thibaut Tricot in the quarterfinals in a heartbreaking affair. But the look on Scott Marsh's face when he lost out to Andy Barton's was, oh,
121.
that was pretty good. There's not much I could have done about that. But when he beat James Richardson in the previous round, he showed a lot of heart.
134.
And that's what I was talking about earlier when it comes to Scott. He just knows how to dig deep. Better than most, I would say. And he does love a bullseye. There's proof of it. He's got 2. been playing in Challenge
93.
events since 2016, as Scott.
Scott, you require 105.
So he has been playing a fair bit of steel tip stuff, but maybe not with the greatest deal of success until now. He's going for tops.
85.
And that one did not come out right.
Kieran, you require 90.
It was 2 single 20s for tops in the previous leg for Kieran. How about 2 single 20s for the bull?
65.
Just to the left.
Scott, you require 20. Game shot on the
Good shot there
second
from
leg.
Scott Marsh.
Scott Marsh.
16 darts is good enough to equalise the leg score in this one at 1-all. And he has got this game by the scruff of the neck just a little bit more than he did earlier.
Feel like it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
I'm just looking through the history of the Challenge Tour for Scott Marsh. And he's made one final
100.
in 6 years. I talked about Paul Hogan maybe being a little bit of an underachiever, but
80.
I have to say the same about Scott. One final in 6 years. But I have to say, that's quite recently.
136.
So maybe he's starting to get the knack of the PDC Challenge Tour, which may be a really good route for him to get a full card on the tour. He has played in the European Tour as well.
140.
He played in the International Darts Open in 2020, which was a behind closed doors event.
98.
I remember him playing against Jason Lowe, where he lost 6 legs to 5. He played decent, averaged over 94. Jason himself averaged over 97. It was the very
85.
first game of the tournament, so he was the first person eliminated.
167. 123.
Leaving himself on 44 after slipping into that big 3 at the start of that visit. Looking to regain the lead.
100.
Possibly with the 12 double 16.
44.
That's exactly where he goes.
12.
But it's not what he finds.
Scott, you require 96.
Where does he go here? Is it double-double? Maybe it should have been.
56.
I think in
You
that spot
require
there,
32.
you have to assume that Teehan's going to hit this 32. So going for double-double and going for broke was possibly the right play.
Game shot on
Teehan
the
does
third
find
leg.
that 32 at the
Ciaran
last dart
Teehan.
of that visit, and he hits the halfway point. Marsh in real trouble of not winning any points tonight at all.
Fourth leg, it's Scott to throw first. Game on.
Just looking through the somewhat short career so far of Ciaran Teehan. He's played in Players' Championships.
41.
He's played in development tours. He's played in challenge tours and won one. But incredibly, he's not played on the European Tour once, even when he had his tour card. So he didn't get through any qualifiers.
100.
And he played in quite a lot of them. Just wasn't meant to be just yet. Just because you don't get it
44.
done at the age of 22 doesn't mean you won't rebound at some point and get it done at the age of, say, 23, 24 or beyond. He's a big lad for 22, I'll say that.
97.
But he has played in a couple of World Championships. And he has won a game at a World Championships as well, which is what some people haven't done. And he beat a good player there in Ross Smith by 3-0.
100.
Averaging 90 on that Alexandra Palace stage. If he was to never throw another dart in his life, at least he could say, I won on the best venue and the best stage in the world. Which is what I think Alexandra Palace is. That's a venue that Scott hasn't graced yet.
180
gets him to a more doable out than the 164 that Teehan has for 3 legs to 1.
$57. Scott, you require 136.
Could be fairly close by the end of the match. Surely this one goes in.
100.
And it does. This could be the game changer. And it's on. Double 16.
75.
Narrowly missed.
Scott, you require 36.
Hasn't been leaving double 18 a lot this week. Maybe this is why. This is tricky.
18.
And Teehan comes back for another 6-visit leg
32.
to open up the gap to 2. Double 8.
16.
Oh, and it could be costly. You really should be hitting those.
Scott, you require 18.
In that spot. That almost hit the single 14. That almost hit the single 18.
14.
That one doesn't hit the double 4. Nothing seems to be going right for Scott Marsh tonight.
16. Game show on the 4th.
He doesn't make that error once
Ciaran
again.
Teehan.
That is now a 19-dart break of throw. You don't expect that in this sort of company, but if it happens, take it.
5th leg, it's Kieran to throw first. Game on.
That World Championship that Ciaran Teehan got his win against Ross Smith. He lost out to Mervyn King in the next
71.
round, and that was, of course, Peter Wright's first world title. On the 1st of January 2020, Peter Wright became the first world champion of the decade in any sport.
100.
And that's one of the reasons why the PDC World Championship loves to be around New Year, because they love to crown the first world champion of the season.
97.
But imagine being the first world champion of the decade. That's pretty thrilling. Not that he cared about that at the time. All he wanted to be called was world champion of any year. He's consequently gone on to win another one.
$140.
Teehan's making his move to possibly take 4 points from tonight. 2 losses and 2 wins would give him a very big chance of getting through this group tomorrow. But it has to be said, if Marsh walks away with no points tonight, it's an uphill battle.
93.
He trims off the 93, and the winning line is in range. Even when he starts on the 19s, to try and leave that 170, nothing is working.
39. Kieran, you require 100.
The white flag is almost out. Just another single over the top. Just don't deliver this one low.
40.
That's not a bad dart, funnily enough. He was so scared of busting it that he went so high, missed the board. But you'd rather it there than in the 60.
83. Kieran, you record 60.
Single 20 for tops. Well, you've got to get the single this time. And he does.
40.
You will hope that Scott does not find this 146.
Scott, you require 146.
And he's not going to.
$25. Kieran, you require 20.
It's been a somewhat slow match. Hasn't been the best quality. But it is a win for Teehan, and it gets him to 4 points. Unfortunately, Scott Marsh is not going to get many points in this group. He might get enough tomorrow night, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next match, it is, of course, Andy Hamilton up against Darryl Pilgrim, and it will be in a few moments' time. Time for the last match of the night, and it is time to see Darryl Pilgrim go up against Andy Hamilton, which could be a cracker. So let's get straight down to the board for that.
3 more each.
Paul Hogan has finished on 6 points, and both Pilgrim and Hamilton have the opportunity to join him. Whatever happens, it's going to be a closely fought contest tomorrow night in the table, with only Scott Marsh struggling at the bottom on 0 points.
Okay, first look, it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
This one does have potential, but it does depend on what energy they have left in the tank. Darryl Pilgrim was first into the building tonight. He was here at 7:30. Just chilling out, taking in the atmosphere,
100.
and practicing as and when he saw fit. Andy arrived last,
140.
around about 9 p.m. And if anybody knows how to prepare, it's Andy Hamilton. He's been around a long time. Now, I've mentioned that Andy's one of the best players that the PDC has produced over the years. And we've talked about the finals that he's been in, like the World Championship, the Grand Slam, the UK Open. But let's talk about what he's won.
58.
In fact, you may be surprised to hear that he's only ever won 3 PDC titles. I was convinced
123.
I'm looking at my stat screen right now, and I'm pretty sure there's one missing.
95.
I'm going to have to dig into this. He won a Players' Championship in Gibraltar in 2007. And 2 UK Open qualifiers in 2007, but I'm pretty sure he's won another event after that. I joined the PDC circuit in 2008. And I'm pretty sure he's won something since then. So I'm going to double check that for tomorrow night.
58. And he required 136.
Steady start from both. Andy with the first look. That is prime. 88.
120.
Almost a perler.
Now we require 150.
No shot left now. You can see what he was trying to do.
60. And he requires 16.
But it should be Hamilton with the first blow. Two 4s on the other side of the board.
Game shot on the first
And that's
leg.
a very tidy looking
Andy
17
Hamilton.
darter to hold throw in leg 1. He would love to get through this and to have those 6 points. And if Pilgrim doesn't get the 6 points, he'll feel he's left some stuff out
Darryl
there.
to throw first.
Considering how well he's played tonight, at times he's looked
140.
like the best player of the night. But points are king in this format. He did come up short when he played Paul Hogan, even though he had the better statistics. He put that right against Teehan with that 103.93 average. And he's averaging super high for the night. In fact, it is over 100 for the evening.
97.
But if he winds up in the middle of the table, that means nothing. Let's have a look at Andy's career then. Who has he beaten on the way to getting those titles that are confirmed for now? I'm going to look into the other one.
99.
I'm pretty sure he won something around 2010. He beat Colin Lloyd by 3-1 in that Gibraltar Players' Championship in 2007. Beat Alan Warren a little in the semis.
140.
And Terry Jenkins in the quarterfinals, a very turn-of-the-century style event for the PDC, which was littered with English players and the odd smattering of a Dutch player, which in that tournament saw Michael van Gerwen eliminated in the quarterfinals.
92.
Go for the bullseye, and that was exactly the right thing to do. He's going to be under pressure a little bit.
121.
But maybe not as much as he should have been.
Now we require 32.
Double 16 has been really good to him tonight. How has he found that gap? I don't think he knows how.
No score.
Well, this would be...
And he require 139.
One heck of a get. Always a tricky one, 139. And most people do like to start
99.
on the 19s to give themselves
Now
options on 82.
32.
Second down and 32 for Darryl. Don't miss it this time.
Game show on
And
the
he doesn't.
second leg.
It might have been second down, but it was a good field goal between the posts as he levels up at one leg all. Hamilton was thinking, if you miss, I'm hitting that tops.
So look, it's Andy to throw first. Game on.
Another one of Andy Hamilton's wins on tour, as you see the averages from this match. Came at the expense of James Wade back in 2007.
43.
En route to that win, he beat Wayne Mardle in the semi-finals as well. And Mervyn King in the semi-finals. Sorry, in the quarterfinals. I'm getting ahead of myself again.
137.
I was looking back at those tournaments from yesteryear to see who people beat en route to some of their titles. In fact, Andy has beaten Adrian Lewis in a Players' Championship
43.
win back in February of 2014. That was the last win that he had. So I was right. There was something after 2007.
100.
And he didn't play well in that final against Lewis. He played extremely well. He averaged 105.27 in beating Lewis by 6 legs to 2. And that was his last ranking title win in the PDC. Around 8 years ago.
60.
He beat Dave Chisnell in the semis. And Kevin Painter, his old pal, in the quarters. And he beat a certain Michael van Gerwen in the last 16. A matter of 2 months after Michael had picked up his first world title. That was a nice little walk down memory lane. We might do that again tomorrow.
55.
Looking at some other tournaments that these guys have participated in. When it comes to Paul Hogan, we might be going quite far back. I've already talked about his 1989 debut in the World Masters.
134.
Pilgrim has taken the advantage now after losing that first leg quite comfortably.
24. Now we require 86.
Just wonder what the energy levels are like for these guys. It's 20 past 1 in the morning now. And this can't
54.
be normal for them to play at this time. But you have to program your rest, your nutrition, your hydration for this challenge to make sure that you are fully awake and fully energized. And to me, Pilgrim looks very
90.
energized indeed.
Now we require 32.
Double 16 again.
Game
Double
show
8
the
is
third
taken.
leg. Darryl Pilgrim.
All of a sudden, he is favoured for this match. He's got that break of throw in the bank now. How will he use it as we go into leg 4?
Fourth leg, it's Darryl to throw first. $58.
We talked about Darryl being a Crystal Palace fan a little bit earlier in the evening. And he is a very passionate Man United fan. As many dart players I know are. I myself get on very well with Scott Williams, who has booked his place in Champions Week
60
in a couple of weeks. Because he's a Newcastle United fan. He's got good taste.
$99.
It's a nice switch from Andy. But the one thing that's bad about that switch is the fact that you can't leave a finish from 3-4-2. There are so many people talking at the minute
45.
about where you're positioned after 6 darts. If you get a ton and a 60 to leave 3-4-1, you can still leave a finish. But these old school players like Andy and Steve Beaton and people of that age, they don't think that way. They think you're going to take 342 or 343 in 9 darts. You're not thinking about taking 340 plus in 6.
134.
So the switch that I called good in a previous visit to a lot of younger players now would be classified as a bad switch. And I'd have to agree with them.
$121.
Talk about tactics and everything associated with that these days is just such a long topic.
100.
Can Andy
and he
take
requires
us
81.
level after 4? Lovely treble 19 for double 12.
$75.
Caresses the wire on the 12s and the 6s.
Now we require 104.
And Pilgrim is looking at the 16s. Doesn't get a shot at tops.
38.
That visit is very
and
ragged.
he requires 6.
I think he would admit that that wasn't his best effort. Left or right, Andy? It's got to be right.
3.
Give it every chance. That was an aggressive try.
Now we require 66.
But he had to give it a go. He could not be defensive with that. 1 dart at double 18.
30.
And Pilgrim should have held in this
and
leg.
He requires
You can
3.
see that he's thrown 21 darts. At times tonight, it's looked like he was going to get 2 legs done in 21 darts. One for the Madhouse.
Game shot on the
Yeah,
4th
perfectly
leg.
done from Andy.
Andy Hamilton.
This is now 2-all. I don't know why he's apologising. You might see a little replay of it here as he takes the darts out of the
Andy
board.
to throw
We didn't quite catch it there.
Game on.
But you should never have to apologise for taking out 3 for a break of throw.
$137.
Just seems to have lost the line and the length on that treble 20 over the last...
87.
Well, not the last 2 legs because leg 3 was pretty good. But definitely in the last leg and maybe the first leg of this contest. And considering some of the averages we've seen from Darryl Pilgrim this evening, this one is drastically down on what we would expect.
96.
It's 79.66. This format is survival of the fittest. You don't have to play at 100 average level all the time.
96.
Every now and again, you're going to have to win a bad game. You're getting very little emotion
98.
from Andy Hamilton in this room. He's always been a stage player. He's always been a showman.
100.
Like I've already mentioned to you,
And
on the floor, he's been very handy over the
170.
last 15 years. I would classify this as a floor tournament, albeit a round-robin floor tournament.
80.
It will be a privilege for Pilgrim to play against Hamilton. But sometimes you just got to get rid of the nerves by smashing in a maximum like that. You can see his somewhat relief of hitting that max. But he could still lose leg 5. Bullseye. Look at the focus.
Game on the
boy,
fifth
that's
leg.
good.
Andy Hamilton.
He just eyed it up. It's almost like he had a little conversation with the bullseye and said, do you know what? You're about to get hit. And he was right.
Sigma gets Darryl to throw first. $99.
That was a tremendous checkout from Andy. If he walks away with 6 points this evening, he deserves a shed load of credit. A great first win
59.
in match 3 against Scott Marsh, averaging 97. You can see the scrappy nature of this one. But after that, a 4-2 win against Teehan in a tight game.
140.
He was shown the door by Paul Hogan, who knew how to put him away, but this one has been a good bounce back. And it's getting better. Pilgrim is not watching what Andy's doing.
56.
Surely it's the 18s for Andy as well. You can see Darryl trying to do the same, to try and trim the 2 off the end to leave the finish. Andy unable to do the same.
56.
Needs another for comfort.
99.
He's not picking up those 2 treble visits now like he did earlier. Those 137s from earlier and the 140s are turning into 99s and 100s.
$76. Area require
That's worked out pretty well. Good maths there from the hammer. 48 tops. So it could be
83.
the biggest finish
And
of the lot
107.
to finish the day. He's already had a bullseye check out. He's not going to get another.
134.
Left double 18.
Now we require
Because
24.
Darryl has problems on double 12. Pushes the wire. This is a must.
12.
And it doesn't work out. He can't believe it. 3
And he
caressing the
require
wire of the double.
36.
And Hamilton, who put the pressure on with the 1-3-4, looks at 18s for 6 points.
Game shot on the
Hugely
match.
impressive
Andy
as
Hamilton.
he wins by 4 legs to 2. And Darryl Pilgrim will go to bed in the next half an hour thinking, I played so well tonight, and how have I walked away with only 4 points? It was a scrappy game. You can see the misses from Darryl Pilgrim on the outer ring, all 11 of them. Some of those were extremely costly. But in the table, it is Andy Hamilton who has topped the group tonight, closely followed by Paul Hogan, Pilgrim and Teehan on 4 points. Marsh has got the most to do, but there is so much we can talk about when we come back at 10 p.m. a little bit later on in Friday's session. We have, before that, of course, got some Group C action to finish up from 9:30 a.m. with Sporty Stuff TV. And if you are watching internationally, you can watch that via YouTube. It's been my pleasure to bring you tonight's session. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but in about 9 hours' time, we'll be back with Group C. We hope to see you then, live on Sporty Stuff TV. This has been The Asset. I'm signing up for now. Take care and good morning.